Hello, I'm Fred McNeil. Thank you for watching QAC TV 7. We've started a show called Thank You for Serving. We have veterans from the community, people who've born here, raised here. There's 3,353 veterans in Queen Anne's County. And our goal is to interview as many of them as we can. And I'm delighted to have with me today Eddie Yealdhall. Eddie, thank you for coming all the way from Virginia.
Yes.
Okay? And he's got his son here. You got it made, and we got dangling crab cakes in front of both of us, all right? Eddie, how about we go back? Tell everybody a little about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to high school?
I moved to Kent Island when I was 5 years old. Started in first grade.
Now you were in Baltimore?
That's where I was born. I was in kindergarten, and since my first name was Vincent, and I was in a Catholic school, I got my wrist slapped. I wasn't allowed to be Edward. I had to be Vincent.
And plus, you're left-handed. I'm surprised the nun said no.
Exactly. Well, they probably forced me to be left-handed. Who knows?
Okay.
So I started my career at the Kent Island Elementary School, went to Stevensville Middle School, and graduated from Queen Anne's County High School in 1990.
Now, how about, let's go back to elementary, middle, and high school. Any teachers still memories, fond memories?
Very fond memories of Mr. Legates from middle school.
Ted Legates, yes.
Yes, I actually made up a poem about him.
About Ted Legates, oh, very good.
Yes.
Okay.
The miserable classroom of Mr. Legates, but it was really
complimentary,
endearing. It was very endearing.
Okay.
Yes, and I remember Mr. Tolson.
Arnold Tolson.
I remember getting spanked by Dr. Henning in elementary school back when
you were allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I deserved it. I'm sure.
Now you go to jail 20 years, and rightfully so. Yeah.
And then you were one of my first teachers in the high school. You were my earth science teacher.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you taught me earth science, and I started cross country my sophomore year. So you were also my cross country coach.
And then you said to me, and you complimented him today in our veterans group, Walter Pauls helped you out. You tell that story.
Yeah, Mr. Pauls. So he helped me out because I thought everything was given. I thought just show up to school, you're going to get to go to college, and it's not going to be that much work. Mr. Pauls, he gave me the scare of my life, essentially like teetering the failure of biology my sophomore year.
Oh, Lord.
And from that point on, I almost got straight A's going for the rest of high school.
He put you on the right path.
Yeah, you have to earn things.
Yes.
I had to earn my right to get accepted to college.
Good. And you had a wonderful wrestling coach, Coach Schipple.
Coach Andy Schipple, the late Andy Schipple, instilled a lot of amazing ethic and sports tenacity, and with wrestling, just making weight sometimes is more of a mental battle than the match itself. And I remember it also taught me a little bit about the dangers of complacency. I remember I was in a match that would have determined going to the state championships. Oh, and I was up 4-0 in overtime.
You thought you had it?
I thought I had it, and I got myself in a situation because I went in for the kill.
It's not over till it's over, right, Ed?
I heard him, but I didn't listen.
So you graduated from Queen Anne's, and then what happened?
And then I went to Mississippi State.
How did you pick? When you told me earlier today, how did you pick
Chuck Brassfield, my best friend in the world, ever since first grade. I had been accepted to a couple other schools. I think Indiana University of Pennsylvania, DeVry University. Didn't really put my feelers out too much. Okay. But Chuck's like, hey, I'm going to Mississippi State.
Why not?
Why not? So we went
Starkville,
together,
Mississippi?
roomed together, Starkville, yeah. Not the Ole Miss side.
No, not Oxford.
Not Oxford.
State.
And it was amazing. Now, the part that was a little shocking to me is that I showed up with exactly the amount of tuition I needed, assuming that I was changing my residency to Mississippi.
You'd be a resident.
So as the naive 17-year-old.
Guess what? You're a Marylander.
Yeah, I know. I had the license. So I had to actually find a way to get a scholarship for my out-of-state fees to be waived. And I did that through the Mississippi State famous marching band.
Now, and you told the story with the veterans group. I assume you did not play the musical instrument.
I did not, but I was willing to carry a tuba.
Okay.
And thanks to Maryland Boys State, I had some marching under my belt because of the Marines that ran that.
So it wasn't a
program.
complete shock.
No. I did my job. I went to all the practices, marched in every single game.
Okay. And Mississippi State football, like the University of Mississippi, that's almost like a religion now.
Amazing SEC. The bands themselves, such pride. 325 members of the band.
325.
Yeah, and I think there were 10 that had my particular job of just looking the part.
Did you ever? I got to ask this. After you told us, did you ever learn to play the tuba?
I did my best. I was at a University of Florida game. Okay. I found myself in the middle of the flute section during one of the maneuvers, so I kept in the corner of my eye. I kept looking at the tubas. I'm like, I better get over there. And when I saw a camera crew come in my direction, I of course started pushing the
now,
buttons.
Ed, how long were you at Mississippi State?
I was there for a year. I did 2 semesters.
Now, you just retired of college, or you knew you had to do something different?
I found myself, I was young. I found myself getting a little distracted my second semester. My grades were really good first semester. I started to slip a little bit, but
But you didn't flunk out. You doing?
I did not. No, I was doing fine. I was doing fine. But NSA,
National Security
Agency, they expressed an interest in me, and I did several visits with them in Maryland.
Okay.
I could have picked a co-op program with them. In order to go
work
a semester,
and
work for the NSA, exactly. And I ended up doing the nuclear power program in the Navy. So I started to meet with recruiters. My mom's family, cousins,
where did that come
aunts,
from?
uncles.
Yeah, where did nuclear power? Just a science part of it, or what?
A mutual friend, Brian Mackey, who was also a
course,
wrestler.
The Mackey brothers.
Yeah, the Mackey brothers. Yeah, they're very
Jason
well known.
And Brian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Brian had also enlisted beforehand, and he just started talking to me about it, and I started to get excited about it. So
why not?
And recruiters are very good at channeling that excitement.
They know how to get you. They know how to get you. Here's a pencil kid. Sign the line.
Yeah, and they have carrots. Hey, bonuses and all that. Yeah. And I did want to change. Okay. I wanted to see the world, and it just so happened that I saw the inside of a classroom for about a year and a half. That classroom work set me up for academics for the rest of my life. It was very challenging. I put in a lot of heart and soul. And as I mentioned in the veterans group, I believe in the power of suggestion. Someone, I don't even remember whom, tapped me on the shoulder and said, have you thought about an officer program? You're doing really, really well here in the nuclear power program. So all of a sudden, within my field of vision came the Naval Academy. And growing up on Kent Island, watching the fireworks in Annapolis.
It's your neighbor. It was your neighbor.
And I always revered them. I never thought it was even a potential for me to.
It was just there. It was like Harvard or Yale.
And so I put everything into that. I didn't even apply to any other programs except for the Naval Academy.
Now this is while you're at the Navy?
While I was enlisted in the nuclear power program. I applied when I was in nuclear power school, which was the second school I had to go to before I went to prototype training, where I'd actually be working in an active nuclear reactor to finish my training before going to a aircraft carrier or a surface ship or submarine. Exactly. So I remember the interview with a commissioned officer. He was the executive officer.
You're enlisted at that point.
I'm enlisted. I'm an E4.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not the lowest of the low, but I'm still
E4 Mafia.
I'm still a little scared. I'm like 19, 20 years old.
Captain or lieutenant is still the boss.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And we had he put me at ease very quickly during the interview, and this was for
his
form application. He was an academy grad as well. He had the ring on his finger, and right at the end of the interview, he asked me what I wanted to do when I graduated from the Naval Academy, and I told him that I wanted to fly jets. He asked what jets that I wanted to fly. I said F-15s.
And that didn't work.
He said, "You've got the wrong service, son." But it still went okay. It was an amazing 3 days of my life when I was at the prototype.
Yeah, you told me you had your choice between 2 sets of orders, right?
Yeah, I qualified as a reactor operator.
And that would have put you in the fleet somewhere?
That would have put me in the fleet. I actually had been earmarked to a fast attack submarine in Hawaii upon graduation from prototype. So I qualified in my final oral board as a reactor operator. The next day, a letter arrived from the Naval Academy where I was accepted.
Make a choice.
And then the next day, I turned 21. So I had a lot to celebrate, legally.
Now, did it shock you got in the academy at that point or not?
No, it didn't.
Knew you were good.
I worked so hard. In fact, it was an hour-and-a-half bus ride from where I lived in Idaho Falls to the Department of Energy facility where the prototypes were.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'd have to work 12 hours a day there, plus the 3 hours round trip. So I ended up, for most of the rest of my training, in the 13 weeks it took me to qualify, I just stayed out there in a bunk room.
Really?
And just put everything I had and
100% effort.
Yeah, because it was a 24-hour operating plant, so I could pick and choose the times in order to learn aspects of the plant in order to qualify. Exactly.
Now, Ed, when I was in the Army, we had amazing respect for officers who had been enlisted men. I think Mustangs, what we call them.
Yeah, and I don't know, like with the 2.5 years I did in the nuclear power program, I might not warrant or merit the official title of a Mustang. I think maybe the guys that get
you were enlisted, you knew how they lived. Yeah.
But I tell you, I got respect everywhere I went. Because I think I could relate to enlisted folks because I was an enlisted guy.
So how was it at the Naval Academy? You're a little bit older.
Yes.
A little bit wiser.
Yes.
And everyone else knows, hey, he was in the real service. He was in. How was that?
It was good because I think I was consulted a lot, and I talked to a few people off the ledge that were 17, 18 years old out of high school. Look, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this.
Okay.
And also. I think with all the military discipline that I had going into there, I could handle it. I think the worst part was just summer in Annapolis. I basically lost probably 10 pounds.
Oh, you mean the first summer?
The first
summer.
Plebe summer. Plebe summer is brutal. You show up July 1st, and you have 6 weeks of
seems like you marched
intense. You're always moving. You're always moving. You're outside a lot. You're sweating bullets. You can't really eat well. No, and I'm left-handed. You have to square your bite. So one day I remember I got in trouble because I think it was just reflexive because I needed the food that I started doing jailhouse style, and the person in charge of me made me stand up and I had to stand at attention, and so he asked me 15 questions I didn't know. I had to write them all down, and I did not lose that military bearing again.
So you think being enlisted probably helped you? Was there a highlight of the academy besides getting into it? Was it an honor just to get it? Did you have an academic or meet friends?
Well, probably the best part about it was doing plebe summer detail. I had 50 plebes when I was a rising senior.
Right. When you were the senior in school, yes.
I put them through plebe summer.
Okay.
I think so.
We were talking about the advantage of being enlisted, then going to academy or becoming an officer. You get the two views of the world. Of the military world. Which for leadership, I think that's so very important because EM enlisted people have different barracks, different food, different lives, right? And that's just the nature of the beast, right? And it's no problem. So anyway, you're at the Naval Academy. What did you know while you were there that the SEALs were going to be? What was don't you get to get 3 choices or something at the academy? How does that all work?
You do. You put your top 3 and they're all competitive.
Okay.
So each program will be able to evaluate you.
And drink as much as you need. I'd like to throw a little bourbon in there if I could. But you got to drive back to Northern Virginia. So
I decided I wanted to be a SEAL when I met some SEALs.
Okay.
They just had this
you could
amazing
try out
teamwork.
For the SEALs. I remember one day Sunday I went to academy. Didn't they have like a thing you jump off a pier at the academy? There's like a little test. Am I right? Okay. I think I saw something like that.
We do all kinds of things, and it's generally very difficult.
Different. So yes, it is.
And
so you just knew I'm going to be a SEAL. You were just attracted. The adventure, or just the training?
Well, it's the teamwork, and me being in sports and looking for that synergy that goes into it. I met plebes. I met SEALs down at airborne school. When I went, they were just out of Bud's training.
Okay.
They were like bulletproof.
Okay.
The sergeant airborne, the sergeant airborne couldn't touch them.
Oh, really?
They would drop them down for 10, 20, 30, and these guys would just smile and
one-handed.
They were in such good shape. And me being a wrestler,
you were impressed by that.
Yeah, I was, and also just the way they took me under their wing. They always had a good time. They always had great stories.
Okay. So you just knew that's my home.
And there's a guy named Stu Smith who is a very much well known in the fitness area. He's I think a class of maybe he's a Naval Academy graduate. Yeah. He was there all 4 years while I was at the academy.
Okay.
And an amazing leader.
Now he'd already graduated at that point?
He did, but he was active duty and he was stationed there for his last 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So he essentially met his commitment during the 4 years he was there at the academy.
At the academy.
Teaching phys ed classes.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah, and also mentoring people that wanted to become SEALs.
Oh, good for him.
So it was unbelievable. And he, you know, he actually wrote a book while we were there called 12 Weeks Till Buds.
Okay.
About how to train to become a SEAL.
Was he a SEAL himself?
Oh, yeah. He was a SEAL, yeah.
Okay, so you graduated the academy, you were Lieutenant JG. Mm-hmm. Did they ship you right to SEAL training?
No, it was an ensign.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, okay.
And I essentially got to, I think I had one formal bit of responsibility, and that was helping rising sophomores do some training that gave them some orientation towards SEALs.
Okay.
Some with the Marines, some with aviation and other things. So it was all ran at the academy. So I basically went through a few of those classes, and I was a cadre. I was an instructor there.
So you were leading men. At that point,
because I would report. I would drive cross country with my best friends in our vehicles to be there in September.
Oh, okay.
So I had basically the summer.
So you had an easy summer.
I did. I went to France. Went to I did a
after 4 years of the academy, you deserve.
Yeah, I did a religious mission down in Ecuador, which was amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, at that time, was Naval Academy co-ed or not?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been co-ed
okay.
since the 70s.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
You were used to the
and the percentages have increased over the years. I graduated in '98.
All right.
So even in the last 25, 26 years,
going up and
it
up
keeps
and
going
up.
up. I think it's somewhere in the high 20s maybe.
So we're going to the West Coast to be trained to be a SEAL.
Yes.
So what was that like? As bad as tough?
You know, I tell you, the competition to become a SEAL from the academy was intense.
Oh, really? Everyone
but it was not cutthroat, which I also appreciated.
It worked as a team.
We worked as a team. We didn't put anybody down.
Okay.
We all
worked together.
We worked together. We taught each other things. We challenged each other. Just trying to win the runs, win the swims, and be a top dog. That brought us all up a few notches.
Now, when you're out of training, first of all, how long is the SEAL training?
It is 6 months.
So half a year. What type of percentage drop out? Half, 3/4?
More than half. I think ultimately it's about an 80% attrition rate.
Oh wow! Now, do some of the academy guys wash out SEAL training?
Occasionally. We don't lose a lot of them. We're lucky in that. I think the academy, we have such a good access to active duty SEALs, and also just the amount of competition we have amongst ourselves.
So they knew what to expect and when to tough
so
it out.
we had 15 people get accepted to be SEALs. I'm trying to think. I think only one of those 15 dropped out, but he dropped out because of a persistent knee injury. He was a football player.
Oh,
he had multiple knee surgeries. The instructors did everything they possibly could, he just couldn't do it. But everybody else made it through.
So 6 months of SEAL training. Then what happens? More training?
More training. It's generally about a year and a half pipeline to get fully qualified as a SEAL, and that's where you wear what's called a trident.
Now, is it training 24/7, or is it like AIT? Hey, you have a 12-hour training session or a shift, and then you're off, or is it 24?
Well, no, it's not. Well, it's kind of episodic.
Okay.
You work toward Hell Week for generally the first 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. You basically show up for work at 5 o'clock in the morning. You do your physical training. Then it's all day, and then most nights you get off at 6, and you go back to your barracks, and
you're tired. You clean equipment.
You're tired. You clean your equipment. You've got to look good. You've got to have a flawless room, flawless uniforms.
No, officers and enlisted train together, or is
together? There's really no. There is a chain of command. So I was class leader, so I had extra responsibilities.
Of the enlisted guys.
But I don't get out of any of the challenges.
Everybody did everything.
Everybody does everything, and I think that's one of the things that really brings us together.
Okay.
We don't have as much of a fraternization concern.
It's a little more relaxed.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, when you become an operational SEAL, when the whoever's in charge of something, when they say something,
you do it.
You do it. Yeah,
you do it.
Just like you would in any other service.
Oh, so a year and a half of training, and then what do they do with you?
I got my trident after a 3-mile ocean swim in the winter down in Virginia Beach in camouflage.
You had your full uniform on.
I had my full uniform, but I was allowed to wear a little bit of a wetsuit on top, so I didn't die. And then I went to Puerto Rico is an assistant operations officer.
Now this is with a SEAL unit.
This is a SEAL. It's called Naval Special Warfare Unit 4.
Okay.
I was earmarked because I had administrative skills.
Okay.
So I went down there.
Did you have administrative? Is that the military?
No,
oh, you did.
The other guys went to Ranger School. So
okay.
I was ready to go to
won.
Ranger School. I was starting to buy gear and get ready for it. And then they sent me to Puerto Rico for basically a vacation. And after that vacation, where it was quite nice, I got to learn a lot about the SEAL community, of all the people that deploy in South America, because I was a SEAL Team 4 guy,
so you're
which
South
at the
America.
time I focused on Caribbean, Central, and South America. And they sent me to Spanish school when I got done with those 3 months in Puerto Rico.
And you became
I became
fluent?
a fluent Spanish speaker.
Oh,
it was amazing.
Okay.
It transformed. It really did transform my life. Really, being able to speak another language.
Because you were bilingual, all of a sudden they could drop you somewhere.
Yeah, and they worked me. As soon as I got done that Spanish school, there was a person that was had an injury down in Ecuador.
You're the man.
And they sent me down there because of my language skills.
Okay.
And so I was number 2 in charge of that mission. And then I gained the trust of the...
What the heck were you doing in Ecuador? Is that drug intervention?
Jungle training, and working with our counterparts for drug intervention.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
so
all, most of what I did in South America was counter drugs.
Oh, okay.
So I was training there and also working with people that were directly fighting the narco-terrorist trade down there.
How long did you do that?
That was 6 weeks.
Oh, just 6 weeks.
It was just 6 weeks.
Then they ship you back?
Then I gained the trust of the number 1 there, the lieutenant. He sent me to Antigua for kind of another vacation where I was in charge of it. I got to meet up with the other half of the platoon, the other 8 from the group.
Training activities?
Yeah, so 8 of the guys were in Ecuador that I got to work with.
And the others were back training?
They were training, and then they met me in Antigua. I got to lead that mission for another 5 or 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And
you said it was nice.
It was nice. They don't work very hard in the Caribbean in general.
Don't tell anybody. That's a good. That's a good job.
Yeah, but it was a great job.
So okay, so there we're. I mean, because we're just going to run out of time. But go ahead. Where do we go next? Because I just know you did so much.
I have. I did about a year of training with a new platoon where I was
Now, where was this?
number 2 in charge. This was Virginia Beach, where I was stationed.
Right
I was
down the
stationed
road
in
here.
Little Creek, Virginia.
Okay.
And we did all of our like basic training, working with other units, working with different aviation, traveling and doing.
This is all SEAL related.
Yeah, and this was all SEALs. Like it was 16 of us. I was number 2 in the command, and each of us had different functions. And then once we were fully trained, we went through an operational exercise where the commanding officer and other people within the teams would evaluate us and make sure that we were okay. Okay to deploy, exactly.
Okay. So they could put you out in the real world and go with
exactly. And then I went to 6 or 7, probably 7 countries in South America to work with our counterparts.
All when they're drug related.
All drug related, counter drug related. Some, like when you get down to Chile and Argentina, a lot of it's just.
Did you like Chile? I always liked.
I love.
Chile.
Yeah.
Santiago's got to be one of the.
It was, and I even went skiing there, east of Santiago. The Andes are right there.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and
let me ask you, what was your best assignment in South or Central America? It was one assignment, I don't know, that you said, you know what, I could do this for 20 years.
I tell you, like this assignment was difficult. It was in Mar del Plata, Argentina. We had a 30-year chef, active duty Argentinian Navy chef, who cooked us meals every day. And it was difficult. Like the food was so good.
They're big beef eaters, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're great. Yeah, sausage, everything, blood sausage.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to go like do night dives after eating this wonderful meal. So it was kind of this is training. But it was like we just got so comfortable with these wonderful meals. But then we had to go do work. I did. I loved Argentina. I loved the people there. Colombia was definitely a close second. Colombia was much serious. I mean, I got combat pay when I was in Colombia.
That was serious.
It was serious. Yeah, it was. There wasn't as much downtime there, and I went not only from the point of view of being SEAL Team 4 with counter drug missions, but also later in my career, I was in charge of a 22-person and 4 armored riverine boat task unit.
Okay.
And we took our boats down there.
This is when they dropped the boats in with helicopters.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, we did that in Iraq when I did a tour there. But when I took my boats down there, it was even more serious. Plan Colombia was kicking off even more. There was a lot of intelligence being shared, a lot of skirmishes.
But basically, it was, I mean, no combat duty is good duty.
No, and see, we like in Colombia, we weren't in direct combat, but we were in hot zones, and we were there was different assistances that was happening in order to bolster the different military and government stability.
What were you then, a lieutenant? What rank?
I was a lieutenant when I was down there. I was a lieutenant junior grade when I was down there with SEAL Team 4.
All right. Now, when did you leave the whole South America gig?
I left in 2000. Well, in 2004. It was really like as I was getting ready to retire from the Navy. I had done a trip maybe 8 months prior to Colombia.
Okay.
And then I did another couple deployments in Asia after that to the Philippines.
Southeast Asia, where?
The Philippines and also
Philippines.
South Korea.
Oh, well, that's right. We talked about South Korea. My favorite place, kimchi, bulgogi, or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
I think the whole world eats better than we do, except for our crab cakes we're going to have in a couple of minutes. All right. Now let's get up to date. You met your wife on an airplane.
Yeah,
you were being shy.
I had my face buried in a book called Musashi about Japanese samurai.
Okay.
And then once we started talking, we were on our way from San Francisco to.
She's from South Africa.
She's from South Africa, right? She was visiting her mom in the Monterey area.
Oh, okay.
I was visiting some friends in California. Once I did start talking, after I broke the ice with Emil, we just talked the whole time.
Good.
And eventually formed a long distance relationship. It clicked. I was recruited to be an engineer after I got out of the service down at an Annapolis-based company called Energy Works.
And I think last time we played golf, you were.
Yeah, I was with those guys, and really amazing company. I was about an hour from where my wife lived. She was working in Leesburg. We were dating. I broke my lease early to move in with her, and the rest is history.
Now, I got to ask you, I ask all the veterans I have, if you had to do all over again, would you do the same route? Would you go?
Most definitely. I think it's weird because if I would have stuck with the NSA, done the co-op program, it would have been a entirely different life.
Yes.
Stuck with submarines, it would have been an entirely different life. I believe I got to see.
You made the right. You're happy with your choice.
Yeah, and I got to work in 15 countries.
You have stories to tell. You get free beers the rest of your life.
And the majority of the work that I did in those countries, I was in charge, and so it's very special being able to structure things and be able to be relied upon, and also the access that I get with the embassies and the military groups. I just thought it was great.
Now let me ask you this. One of your sons sitting 15 feet. Yeah. If he said to you, Dad, I want to do what you did, go to the academy, become a SEAL, would you say yes, no, or maybe? I
would say yes, and he has said that a number of times. Right. Yeah, he's vacillating between naval aviation and SEALs.
Good for him.
Knows everything about aviation.
Nothing wrong with it. Quite amazing. Now, how about the last one? You were kind enough to speak to our veterans group today. They're constantly saying the young people, they haven't got it. I disagree with them. Having been a teacher, just dabbling with character counts, I think the young people are smarter than I was, more tech savvy, and if the country needs them, they're going to be there. Does that fit with you?
I do agree. Yeah. And I think that especially I could speak directly to the SEAL community. It has not gotten any easier.
Okay, so there's still
people rise up. People rise up to the occasion. Yeah, okay. And of course, I don't like to compare too much. No. There's a lot of tough people. Even you served during the Vietnam era. You knew you were going to
Ed, when I arrived in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh called a special meeting of the Politburo and said, if they're sending guys like McNeil, we won. Ed, look at our time's about. Here's the toughest question of the day. We're about to get crab cakes, boiled or fried.
I would say broiled.
All right, Doc's Restaurant. Here we come. Okay. Ed, thank you very much for speaking to the veterans. Thank you for doing TV.
My honor.
And we'll get you to come back and do it again. Okay.
Okay.
My name's Fred McNeil. Thank you for watching QAC TV 7. My time's up. Thank you for your time. We're going to see you next time, and a special salute to all the veterans out there.